Good afternoon. Welcome to Firebase Notifications. In this session, I'm Francesco, and I'm going to introduce why we believe that notifications are important. Later on, Ting Mei, our product manager, will come on stage and introduce what we have built so you can use notifications effectively. And finally, Lawrence, our launching t-shirt guy and developer advocate, will show you this product with a few demos. So let's begin. Why notifications? When we embark in the journey of developing an application, we all dream about its success. We think about how much our users will love our applications. We want them to come to the application and want more and more. Because user engagement plays a really big role in application development. And notifications are those messages that pops in front of a user, they grab their attention, and hopefully they make them do something that we want to. A month ago, I bought a ticket to a festival, and this application is reminding me that in 3 days, the festival begins. And maybe I should come back to the app and check the final lineup, or buy tickets for the shuttle, or schedule the concerts and share them with my friends. So notifications are really powerful in getting the users back into our application. In fact, there are studies that show that users that opt into notifications are twice as likely to come back as opposed to those that don't. But if we send too many notifications, we might upset the user. We overwhelm them, and we achieve the opposite effect. Users might silence the notifications, or even worse, uninstall our app. So we need to get a few things right. We need to know when is the right time to send the notifications. If I get the notification now to come back to a game and play a new level, it's probably not as effective. We need to understand who we should target. If you have like a wetsuit sales, and we target runners, maybe we are not as effective as if we target surfers. And finally, what is the message? What we are trying to convey to the user? Because if we get these things right, there is when we grab the user attention and we get them to do what we need. If we write an application and we slip in a bug, and bugs happen, right? We definitely have bugs in our applications. Not Lawrence, obviously, not Lawrence. Well, we want to target just the population that was affected by the bug. We don't want to send an apology to the entire population of our users. So notifications are really important, but to get these things right, we need some sort of feedback. And here is when analytics come to help. Because with good analytics data, now we can improve our engagement strategies. And our marketing and growth hacker people, they can spend time in focusing on how to increase our user base. And our content editor can send content updates as they write the articles. And our product managers, like Ting Mei here, they're super happy can send announcements about new features that will make the usage of the app even more compelling. So we think that this is very important to get it right. And here at Firebase, we bought a new product that will let you do exactly this. Please welcome Ting Mei to show you Firebase notifications.
Thank you, Francesco. So let's take a look at Firebase notifications. It is part of the Firebase product. And Firebase is a suite of integrated products that helps you to develop your apps, grow a user base, and earn money. Francesco just mentioned that notification is really important in helping you to engage users. With the right context and the right analytics, it could be even more powerful. But the process has to be simple so that people can really focus on getting the content of the message. Send an interesting message is going to bring your user back much more effectively. So let's see how Firebase notification is going to help you achieve that. Many of you are familiar with Firebase Cloud Messaging, the new version of Google Cloud Messaging. It has been reliably delivering messages to Android, iOS, and Chrome users. Firebase notifications is built on top of Firebase Cloud Messaging. It is cross-platform. It's designed so that you can set the right target with the right contacts and be able to evaluate the effectiveness after. It is simple. As you can see from this console, anyone should be able to send a notification or message without having to write a single line of server code, so that you can really focus on getting the content of your message right. But it is not just a form so that you have to fill out all the mandatory fields before you can send a message. It's designed so that you can set the right target by using analytic insight, FCM topics, or even device and app info. Once you have defined your right target, it's about engaging your user with the right context. For example, use language so that you can localize your message, so that your Italian users will not be getting a German message, for example. Or send your message so that it's delivered when the user, based off the user's time zone. Don't have to worry about waking user at 3 a.m. in the morning, get them mad, turn off notifications, and potentially say bye to your applications. Every application has its own customizations, and you can do that by using the custom data fields. You could pass in a dynamic link so that you can take user to the right context and the right flow of your app, or provide a discount code so that you can apply the discount when user tap and open your notifications. You've just seen how easy it is to send notifications. But is it effective? Is it actually bringing more of your user back? Not having that much of a difference, or actually turning your user away? Firebase notification is integrated with Firebase Analytics and provide you with a default set of analytics so that you can understand the effectiveness right out of the box. When sending a message, a lot of the time there's a goal that we want to achieve. And you can set that by using conversion events. We track send and open for you by default, but obviously you can provide your own. So now let's go take a look at the console and see where you can find the analysis.
Switch to the laptop.
All right. So what you're seeing here is the Firebase console. And you can find notifications under growth, because we believe that it can really help you to re-engage your user to improve the experience. So this is where you have all the campaigns that you're managing. If you click on one of the campaigns that has already been completed, it's loading. All right. This is where you're going to see the analysis, the notification funnel. So there's some interesting data here. Number of sent, and how many of your users actually tap and open your notifications. So apparently, this particular promotion is not as effective in getting the user open the notification, so we need to do better there. And if you actually provide conversion events when you send notifications, we will track the number of times your user actually clicked that particular actions that will lead to that event. So this gives you the basic insight of notification effectiveness. If you want to do more analysis, this is when you go to analytics. So there's one trick that I would like to share with you here today. So if you go to analytics and look for notification opens under the events tab, this will bring you the default analytic event report view. So you see the total count, the breakdown by messages and topics, as well as the breakdown by location and demographic, if those data are available to you. The trick that I want to show you is if you actually click on one of the messages up here, will actually automatically apply filters to all the dashboards and all the event reports in analytics. So now you can really do some serious analysis of how this particular notification campaign actually impact your underlying success metrics and factors. So now let's go back to the presentation, please. All right. So we've just seen the product walkthrough. So now Lawrence, our developer advocate, is going to show us some demo.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a really, really lazy programmer. So I really like to write as few lines of code as possible. But yeah, thank you. So actually, before I demo, I get one of these. I got my demo wrong earlier. I was fixing it. So let me see if I can. Okay, I see people waving. Oh, short. So I'm a very lazy programmer in general. I like to write as few lines of code as possible. I want things to be made as easy for me as they can be. And that's one of the things that really attracts me to Firebase notifications, because it's just so easy as a developer. And so, first of all, I want to talk about two scenarios for building applications. And one is when you're receiving notifications in the background. And I want to talk about just how easy it is for you to build the code for doing that. So the first one I'm going to show is, here's the code that you do if you want to receive background notifications in iOS. Any other lazy developers here? A single line of code, and technically it's not even a line of code, it's a line of configuration, right? You add a single pod to your iOS application, and you use the Firebase messaging pod. Now, a lot of people ask, well, why messaging? Why not notifications? And you may be familiar with Google Cloud Messaging, and now its new evolution, the Firebase Cloud Messaging. They're so similar, and the underlying infrastructure is used in the same way that we said there's no point in shipping two sets of libraries because they're so similar. So if you incorporate the Firebase messaging pod into your iOS application, you can also then grow into Firebase Cloud Messaging as well. But all you got to do is put this into your application, and you're good to go. And then for Android, it's almost as easy. You just build this into your build.gradle file. You're going to compile com Google Firebase messaging 3.0.0. And that's it. So if you create an application, and I'm going to demo in just a moment where I used Android Studio and I did file new application. And if you're an Android Studio developer, you're probably familiar with the empty activity template, which just gives you a hello world. That's all I did. And then I added this line to the build.gradle. And let's demo it now. Can we switch to the Wolf Vision? So I have an app running in the background now, and Ting Mei is going to send a notification to this app. Yeah.
Can we switch to the laptop, please?
Yeah, sorry, switch to the laptop.
All right. So let's start sending a notifications. What shall I send?
What should we say? What kind of notification, just so you know it's real? Any hockey fans here? Who's going to win the Stanley Cup? Penguins. Oh, wow, okay. Who said the Seattle Thunderbirds? You're my hero. They're not even in it. Okay, let's send Penguins. Oh, sorry.
Penguins. All right.
Easier this way. All right, so can we switch back to the phone? So now earlier you saw the phone was just sitting on the desktop, and the notification has just come in. You can see it up in my notification tray. So now if I slide down from that, my application was just called Firebase Notification 1, and you can see Ting Mei has actually sent the notification Penguins. And then if I touch on that, it's going to launch the app. And this is the familiar Hello World app from Android Studio. I wrote no code to be able to get that. Isn't that pretty cool, right? I've never had so many applause for doing nothing before. This is great. So can we switch back to the slides, please? So that was background notifications, and then people say, okay, that's great, but what about when the app is in the foreground? What about like if I want to be able to do things and I want to receive a notification and have it maybe change an activity in my app while the app is in the foreground? Like the classic example of this is if you're using like some kind of IP telephony app and then you receive an incoming call, it's going to change your activity to be able to handle the incoming call. In most cases you want to answer, some cases you want to ignore, and you got all that kind of UI. So you're changing the context of the app upon receiving a notification. So let's take a look at how we would actually do this. In this case, and I'm still a very lazy developer, so it's not a whole lot of work, but it's a little bit of work and it's a little bit more. So in Android, here's all I have to do. Okay, I'm going to create a service class. In this case, I call it my Firebase messaging service, because like I said, I'm a really lazy programmer and I have no imagination about what to call the thing. And I specify an intent filter on that so that it will handle particular actions, so that this class is the one that will handle the action. And the action that I want to handle is com Google Firebase messaging event. So what I'm saying is that once I compile my application and I have that service class in there, if this application is running on the device, whenever an incoming message comes, an incoming notification comes, then this class, the Firebase messaging service class, is the one that's going to handle it. And this class would look a little bit like this. So it's just, straightforward Java code here. This is my Firebase messaging service. And I'm going to extend the base Firebase messaging service class for that. And then whenever I receive a message, once I'm extending, then I just receive this on message received, and it's going to contain a remote message, and then there's a bunch of attributes of that remote message that I can do something with. I put together a screencast of this that went on YouTube last night, and one question that somebody asked me was, well, like, how would I generate a custom notification? So say, take for example, like Android M and Android N, we have the ability to have a custom notification, and you can reply, or you can do something directly in the notification. Here's where you would do that. You're receiving the remote message in, you can parse metadata out of that remote message, and then you can generate a new notification that you would then render on Android with that custom stuff on there. And also, if you have like an Android Wear watch connected to it, you can like send the notifications there. So there's lots of really fun and lots of really great stuff that you can do. And this is really all the code that you have to do to be able to do that. It's you create the service, you create the intent filter, your service has to extend Firebase messaging service, and then you handle your stuff in the on message received. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy, right? And then people go, but what about iOS? I say, okay, iOS. Now, forgive me, my slides, I tend to use Objective-C. I haven't become a fan of Taylor Swift yet. So people are laughing at my jokes. This is great. So my last session, nobody laughed. So when you're writing an iOS application, you just have your application have a did receive remote notification handler on that. That's the second line of code here. And that's going to receive an NS dictionary. And if you're an Objective-C or an iOS programmer, you're familiar with an NS dictionary. It's just a set of name-value pairs. So there's going to be a set of name-value pairs, keys, and the value for that. So as you can see here, the user info bracket key that I'm doing there, that would be just where I read out the keys. Like maybe it's the message ID or the message body or something like that. And then I can do something interesting with that in iOS. So should we see this in action? What do you think?
Why not?
Okay. So can we switch to the laptop, please? Actually, switch back to the phone first, please. And I have my application here running in the foreground, and it's the same file new Hello World application from Android Studio, except I added a service class to that with all the code that I just showed you on the slide, and I'm running it. And now, can we switch to the laptop, please? And Tingmei will send a notification. And what kind of thing should we send? What do you think? Something other than penguins, because I don't really like the penguins. Well, Sidney Crosby's good, but I don't.
Turtles?
Turtles! Oh, there's no hockey team called the Turtles, but that's okay. Name a hockey team. Sharks, thank you! A former Seattle star plays for the Sharks, Patrick Marleau, so I'm a big Sharks fan.
Shark?
Sharks! They're going to win tonight, right?
We'll see.
So as Tingmei sends that, can we now switch to the phone, please? And we should see an incoming notification is going to change my activity. Drum roll, everybody. Thank you for the drum roll. There it is. And we see this activity now that comes in. And this was launched in response to the notification. So in that slide, where I showed you earlier on that I've received the notification and I received data, I have another activity that I just launched, stuck that data in a bundle. So it was the from and the text. And then in this activity, I render the text. It was really, really as simple as that. We're probably talking 15 lines of code total to do the whole thing. And this is me receiving custom notifications from Firebase notifications and actually doing something active with that. How easy is that? What are we going to do next year? So with that, so Tingmei, I would like to pass it back to you, and we're going to talk about some customers, right?
Yep. Right. Can we go back to the presentation, please? And thank you, Lawrence.
Iger. Thank you. I get applause because I got the T-shirts.
Shirts to send out. All right, so I hope you guys enjoy the T-shirts. as well as the demos that we just shown you. We definitely like it. We have just shown you how easy it is to be able to send notification without using the console, and also how simple it is to actually integrate on the client side. We don't want to develop a product in vacuum, so we have been gathering a lot of developers' feedback, and there are many developers who actually integrate with Firebase notifications already. Today, I would like to share the experiences from 3 of them. And for the rest, please go to other Firebase session and heard about their experiences. So first, app in the air. Someone is taking a picture. So app in the air helps users to manage their travel experience after they have already booked their flight ticket. So they would get flight status change alert, for example. And what they found is Firebase notification is reliable and flexible. And they were able also to really allow them to focus on the important metrics of their app. BuzzBud, an application that helps you to book bus ticket. They will send you new route information or a discount code, and they were able to integrate with Firebase Analytics really quickly, while still able to customize to their user experiences. Milan Studio is able to use Firebase notifications in their latest application, True Day, an application that helps users to celebrate anniversaries. They have users around the world, and they're able to use the time zone feature so that they don't have to worry about sending notifications after midnight and disrupt their users. So these are some really interesting real-life examples and testimonies on how flexible, simple, and reliable Firebase notification is. So we've covered a lot today. We talked about why we think notification is important in engaging users, what we built to help you to better engage your users, and we also will show you some demos, and also partner feedbacks. In summary, there are 3 key takeaways. We build Firebase notifications so that anyone can send notification without having to write a single line of server code, and we make the we make the client integration super simple as well, so that you can focus on getting the right user with the right contacts. And with a tight integration with analytics, you'll be able to measure the effectiveness of your notifications. We're really excited to announce that Firebase notification is available to you today. So for those who are interested to learn more, please go to firebase.google.com, check out our documentation and support page. We really look forward for your feedback because we want to develop a product that really helps you to better engage your users. So thank you so much for coming to this session.